really excited for that coming up soon, and yeah. But listen, we got to switch gears a little bit. We're gonna stay in the welterweight division, kind of, because Oscar De La Hoya, he's made the headlines a lot recently. He said that he's made peace with Al Haymon. They're now singing "Kumbaya" around the campfire, and they're hugging each other, and everything is good. They're putting marshmallows on the damn sticks and turning them over, and they're making s'mores, and they're gonna make. And he's saying they're gonna make the biggest fights in America, right? Now I don't know if this is real. I don't know if it's some hot bullshit, but either way, we're going to discuss it, and we're going to try to make sense of it, because right now there's not a lot of unity between Golden Boy Promotions and the team of Vergil Ortiz, right? You got Oscar going off on Rick Marigan, his manager, Virgil's manager, Rick Marigan going off on Oscar, and it doesn't appear that the boots fight will happen. So but before I get into all that, guys, I want to get you up, in case you haven't seen, I'll get you up to speed on it. I want to play you guys 2 videos, all right, about, Oscar saying that he wants to sue Vergil Ortiz's manager, Rick Marigan, because Rick Marigan's been trying to negotiate behind Oscar's back. Oscar claims that it's a violation of the Ali Act. I'll play that for you guys, and then I'll play you guys the video about Oscar and Al Haymon making peace, and they're going to make the biggest fights, and him going off on Eddie about the boost negotiation. So I'm going to play both those videos for you guys, and then we're going to come back and dissect and try to make sense of what all this means. So here we go. So here's the video of Oscar wanting to sue Rick Marigan. Smash that like button.
Yo, what's up, guys? Happy New Year, man. I've been busy this week finalizing the Ryan Garcia-Barrios fight, and details will be announced on Monday. I'm really excited to be working with PBC and Al Haymon. Look, we have a lot of great matchups to be made as the U.S. top promoters, so I'm looking to keep the fights here in the U.S. In the meantime, Eddie Hearn is begging the media for this Boots and Vergil Ortiz fight. It's so stupid as a promoter to pigeonhole your fighter into one opponent. You lose your negotiating power, which ends up being a lot of lost money for your fighter. Also, every time a manager tries to be a hero and negotiate behind the promoter's back, they lose money for the fighter, and at the same time violate the Muhammad Ali Act. And you know what? I'm gonna start sending legal letters enforcing this, because I'm fucking tired of it. Some managers are just full of shit, and I will be exposing them, trust me. Look, Vergil can fight 2 or 3 different guys in mega fights. He's got options. Imagine him with Errol Spence at Dallas Cowboys Stadium, or Sebastian Fundora in a mega fight in Vegas. Boots is part of the plan, but it doesn't have to be next. But Eddie, since you're so desperate to make this fight, then let's do this. 60-40 for Vergil and 5% to the winner. Because I'm generous and I'm not moving off those numbers. You're the one who's begging for this fight. So let's go.
So a lot to unpack there. Like, I don't know. I can't believe Oscar really said with a straight face, talking about Errol Spence. Listen, Errol Spence, guys, he don't want to fight no more. Errol Spence grew his hair out. He looks like he's a Rastafari guy. He's eating fruits on a boat with his girl. He's enjoying life. He ain't thinking nothing about boxing. Like, he's basically retired. So that's disgusting. That's nasty work that they talking about Errol Spence. Then he's talking about Sebastian Fundora like it's some sort of mega fight. And I like Fundora. I think Fundora is an exciting fighter. But like I said, just because, as we saw with Matias over the weekend in New York, just because a fighter is Puerto Rican or Mexican American, that doesn't automatically equal commercial value. They still got to be promoted right and have real momentum behind them. And that's not a big fight. Like, that's not really a big fight like that. It's not an MGM grand fight in Vegas. You'd be lucky if it's a Mandalay Bay type of fight in Las Vegas. So, I just think it's Oscar De La Hoya trying to negotiate the media. And yeah, but anyway, here's the other video of Oscar talking about, he's made peace with Al Haymon. Listen to this.
All right, what's up, guys? As promised, a big announcement today. Ryan Garcia versus Barrios is finalized. It will happen February 21st in Las Vegas. And as you already know, Benavides versus Zurdo is also set for Cinco de Mayo weekend here in Las Vegas. That will be an absolute banger. Now, all that's left to be sorted out for the first quarter of 26 is who Vergil's next opponent will be. I said 3 days ago that I'll sign immediately for a 60-40 fight with Boots with 5% to the winner, which is fucking crazy generous considering Vergil Ortiz has the better resume. Boots is interchangeable with Fundora and Errol Spence. He needs this fight with Vergil far more than we do. But I'm willing to make the fight. Let's do this. Eddie, I haven't heard from you. And if I don't by the end of the day, I'm going to start discussions with other opponents, with Al Haymon and PBC. Oh, and surprise, motherfuckers. Al and I made peace, and we are united now. We literally can put on bangers all year with the rosters we have here in America. So, if anybody has an offer, you better come in fucking guns blazing, because we are committed to making the biggest fights here in America. Have a great day, and I'm headed towards Palm Springs, Acrisure, to support Alexis Rocha and Raul Curiel this Friday on Dazn. Let's go.
So riddle me this, guys. Riddle me this. If what he's saying is true, if him and Al Haymon have already made peace, if they're holding hands by the campfire and roasting marshmallows and making s'mores and singing Kumbaya and can make the biggest fights in American boxing right now, then why negotiate with the media? Why not just go ahead and just make the biggest fights that you can make in American boxing, right? If Boots is truly interchangeable with Sebastian Fundora, who is a good fighter, who I like, but Sebastian Fundora couldn't even sell out his own living room. He couldn't even sell out his own shed in his backyard. He's not no ticket seller, right? Boots, say what you want about Boots, but Boots moves. He does numbers in Philadelphia. You could say, oh well, you know, maybe the Lima fight didn't sell as much as other fights did in Philadelphia. But either way, even the Lima fight, which people criticize attendance for that sold more than anything Fundora has done. When Fundora fought and headlined in Carson, California against Ocampo, empty. When he fought Cordell Booker in Vegas, empty. He's not a ticket seller like that. So for Oscar to sit here and act like commercially Fundora is on the same level as Boots, he's not. And he's negotiating with the media. Now, as far as him and Al Haymon, I'm calling bullshit. I'm calling 1,000% bullshit, because if you really are on one accord with Al Haymon, remember, PBC, and I got love for the fine folks PBC, like a lot of good people I know that work for PBC. But PBC did like 5 shows last year. They're not doing a ton of shows. They're not getting a ton of dates. I'm sure they would love the opportunity to put some big fights together and do more in the fight game. So if that was really the case, you wouldn't be talking about, you wouldn't even mention this. You would just go ahead and just do it. So I call bullshit on Oscar, and I feel like Oscar is just doing all this to try and maybe secure a better position with Dazn. Because going back to screen share, right? With Dazn, right? We all know that Oscar de la Hoya and the fine folks at Golden Boy, they have not renewed their Dazn deal, because part of the Dazn deal was that part of the Dazn contract was that they want to do the Boots Vergil fight, right? And right now, there's not a lot of unity within the Golden Boy and Vergil Ortiz team. You got Oscar trying to negotiate fights through the media, which is always stupid. And then you got Rick Marigan, who is negotiating or trying to negotiate, according to Oscar himself, with the promoters, and it's got Oscar pissed off and talking shit about him publicly in a public forum. So when you get a team that's not on one accord, you're not going to get these deals done. That's just a fact of the matter. So ultimately, look, when you look at the current landscape of the fight game and television right now, ESPN is not involved really in boxing. Boxing has pretty much run its course and ran the well dry with most of the networks. So there's not really anywhere to go. And I had Rick Glazer on here roughly a week ago or so, And then I asked Rick about Golden Boy and Dazn and this whole ordeal, and he was saying that he believes Oscar can secure a deal with the network in LA because he got connections in LA, and I really just don't see it, because the reality is that unless it's like a Jake Paul or one of these crazy circus events, most networks in America that have already lost money on boxing do not currently see enough long-term value in boxing to invest into the sport. You understand? One of the only platforms that is investing into the sport at all, whether you love it or hate it, is DAZN. Golden Boy, I think they're gonna have to go to DAZN. And shout out to my boy Sean Tatel. I watched the most of his video that he did yesterday with the great brother Radio Raheem. Shout out to him too. Another heavy hitter in the boxing media game. They were talking about the fact that Ryan Garcia versus Mario Barrios, and it's just purely a DAZN fight. This is it comes as a bit of a surprise, right? Because Barrios is a PBC fighter. We were expecting Amazon Prime to be involved or with this promotion, if not be the sole the sole broadcaster. Amazon Prime, or Ryan Garcia, I should say, his lawyer is Lupe Valencia, who we know has a lot of connections to Al Haymon. That's why Ryan Garcia, fought Tank on a pay-per-view fight a couple years ago, and it was a big event. But this is just an outright DAZN pay-per-view. So I feel like with this happening, Oscar sending his biggest name, his biggest draw, so to speak, to DAZN, like, and this comes at a time where the DAZN Golden Boy deal hasn't been renewed. They're using this as a bargaining chip to get a better deal, and he's negotiating with the media to get a better deal. So that's all this is here, guys. I wouldn't put too much stock into it. I still do think, probably that the Boots and Vergil fight does happen this year. But I want to say this, because I was doing some research last night. And, I want to show you guys, because I can show you a lot better than I can tell you. And I'll get to Vergil's manager here in a second, and then I'll go to the comments. So make sure you guys leave your comments down below. I'm not ignoring you. I'm just getting my talking points off, because I gotta get this stuff off, because my mind runs very fast, and if I don't say what I gotta say, I forget things, But look, I want to show you guys this about Vergil Ortiz and Ryan Garcia, because it's, these guys aren't young anymore. Like, time moves fast. So look, I want to show you guys this just so you understand how ridiculous it is, how Vergil Ortiz's career is being ran. Right. Well, now Vergil Ortiz is an awesome fighter. Vergil Ortiz is one of my favorite fighters in boxing to watch. I think he's one of the very few must-see TV fighters in boxing. But the reality is this. You got Vergil Ortiz on one side. You got Ryan Garcia on the other side. Vergil Ortiz is, yes, he's fought better guys than Ryan. But Vergil Ortiz is looked at, like, he doesn't get criticized at all, right? He was born on March 25th, 1998, right? So remember that date. Ryan Garcia was born the same year in August of 1998, which means that Vergil Ortiz is what is that? He's about 5 months, give or take, 4.5 to 5 months older than Ryan Garcia, and he still hasn't won a world title. He's going to be 28, guys, in about 60 to 70 days or so. He's going to be 28, and he still hasn't won a world title. But this is a terrible look, and I think it speaks a lot to a couple of things. It speaks a lot to, like, the way Golden Boy has moved him. You understand? Rick Marigan, even to a degree. And yeah, and the sad thing about it is Ryan Garcia is fighting for the world title next month. If he wins a world title, as crazy as it may sound to you guys, Ryan Garcia will have become a world champion before Vergil Ortiz, and he's 5 years younger than him. That's where Vergil Ortiz's career is at. So I wanted to just highlight that before I get into Rick Marigan. But anyway, getting into Rick Marigan, and this is very important, because Rick Marigan does manage Vergil Ortiz. Rick Marigan is a heavy hitter in the boxing game. He's managed Jose Ramirez. He's managed ton of fighters, right? Definitely one of the more influential behind the scenes guys. But here's what he said about the negotiations between Vergil and Boots, because you got Oscar saying that they're moving on. He's giving Eddie an ultimatum. He's throwing numbers out there in the media, which is never smart. And he says, look, and I quote, "We are not moving on. We never even participated in this negotiation, and it's our contractual right to participate, but we will now. At DAZN Boxing, try at least talking to the people that have the contractual right and authority to make a deal. That's usually how it works, and that's usually how it gets done. We are here to discuss, and I'm easy to reach." So there you go. So like I'm saying, I think the deal does ultimately get done because I think what's going to wind up happening is that I think, the zone will, a Golden Boy will eventually go to the zone because with the current climate of boxing programming, there's nowhere else to go, right? There really is nowhere else to go unless you have some sort of crazy connection to some network that hasn't already been burned by boxing already in terms of losing money. That's one thing. And then the second thing is, like these guys, like Oscar and Rick and Vergil's team, they all need to get on the same page. They're not on the same page, and that's never a good thing. So we'll see how it goes. In the meantime, if they don't fight, like I'll be honest with you, I'm over the Vergil Boots fight. Like I want to see it, and I'll get excited about it when the deal gets done. But right now, I don't care. Neither one of them have a world title, and I wouldn't mind personally. I wouldn't mind if Jaron Ennis fights the winner of the IBF world title fight later on this month, whether it's Josh Kelly or whether it's Bakram. I would like to see Boots fight for that world title and do his thing, especially if it's Bakram, because I feel like Boots should have fought. I wanted to see him fight Bakram probably more than anybody in this division. But if Bakram loses, even better, because if Bakram loses to Josh Kelly, that's matchroom. Easy fight to make. I mean, I don't know if Eddie wants to do that in Philadelphia or England, but either way, he's got contractual rights. He's got the first and last say on what happens to both those guys. So look, to me, I'm okay. I think that everyone right now, I've seen a lot of negativity about the 154 division, but I'm always a glass half full type of guy, or at least I try to be. I think things are going to be okay at 154 these next 5 to 6 months. Xander and Abbas Bro are going to unify. Whoever comes out of that will have 2 belts. Bakram and Kelly will do their thing. And then I think, once those 2 dominoes fall, you're going to see Vergil or Boots. I think Vergil or Boots might try to actually fight for a world title before they fight each other, because the reality is this. Whether you like it or not, I feel like Vergil and Boots should be trying to fight right now with other titles, but world titles do add value to promotions, to a fighter's purse. It does make fights bigger, as much as you don't like it. Until the fighter gets big enough to where he's bigger than the belts, like that's just the case, right? So, maybe we don't get Vergil versus Boots till later, like the 4th quarter of this year, or maybe this time next year. I don't know, but that's where I stand on everything. Where do you guys stand? Let me know in the comments down below, and definitely go ahead and smash that like button. I got like 18 comments. Let me go ahead and run through some of these comments. I know you guys got a lot to say. Slide Encounter is in the building. So good to see you, Slide Encounter. Vergil is under the fishnet protection plan. Yeah, I think Vergil would fight Boots. I think Vergil would fight any of these guys. He's already fought good opposition, but his handlers are not on the same accord. Rick Morrigan and Oscar de la Hoya are not seeing eye to eye, and it's really fucking up his career because he's about to be 28 years old this year, and he still hasn't won a world title. Ryan Garcia might become a world champion before Vergil Ortiz. That's the kind of world we're gonna live in boxing, because these guys can't seem to get on the same page. Oscar said he wants the big fights in the U.S. If so, no fight is bigger than Vergil and Boots in America. Just sounds like negotiating caught on camera. Yeah, that's all it is. I think they'll re-up with the zone, to be honest. Ennis versus Vergil needs aura and needs belts. Well, then these guys gotta listen. The time is ticking. These guys gotta get to work and start go fight the Bakrams or Josh Kelly or whoever comes out of Zayas, Abbas Bro. I don't want to hear about, like, I understand this sport is a business and you got to do what's best ultimately for yourself at the end of the day. But if they want to make this fight as big as possible, they have to actually like for me, everyone's just crowning Vergil and Boots and saying that these guys are the best in the division because people they value these guys' skill set at a high level, right? But the reality is neither one of them has really proven that they're the best in the division. Right now, this fight is only big just because of hype. Now, if one of them actually goes and beats up on one of the champions and gets a belt or two, it would make the fight bigger. They said Vergil is really out here trying to cherry pick Spence. That's Rick Morrigan and them. Vergil threw a little gasoline on it because he did mention it in the interview. So he's no better. But Earl Spence doesn't box no more. Earl Spence, listen, hold on. Now I gotta find it. Now hold on. Now I gotta go find the image so you guys can put a picture to what I'm saying. Bro, Earl Spence doesn't box anymore. Earl Spence is chilling. He got, he's chilling. He's on a boat eating snacks and eating healthy food, just chilling with his girl. Like, he's not trying to box no more. And you know what? He don't gotta box no more. He gave his whole life to boxing. He was a U.S. Olympian. He was a 3-belt unified champion. He was a very good fighter in this time. Some people, maybe not me, but a lot of people would say Errol Spence Jr. is a Hall of Fame fighter, right? So he's given his contribution to boxing. Let that man go enjoy the fruits of his labor. And let me see, where's that picture at? Where's that picture? There was a picture of Errol Spence on a boat. And the funny thing is, this picture right here. Hold on. This one right here. Look, this right here. Let me go to screenshot. Hold on. This is who Vergil wants to fight, guys. In all respect to Errol Spence, like, enjoy life after boxing, but this is who Rick Marigan and Oscar are trying to get Vergil Ortiz to fight. Look, this is Errol Spence. He's out. He's somewhere exotic, living his life. Eating healthy. I see a lot of greens in there. I see some fruits, some with oatmeal. I don't even know what he's eating, but he's eating good. And he's living life. He's happy. Let the man be happy. Let that man live in peace. Stop trying to cherry pick Errol Spence and make an easy bag off the Errol Spence brand that he worked so hard to build all these years. You understand? Leave the man alone.